Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to our viewers around the globe. Depending on the time zone that you find yourself, I believe that if it is in the morning, good morning. If it is in the afternoon, good afternoon. If it is in the evening, good evening. Welcome to Insights with Dr. Val-Addo. My name is Dr. J. Val-Addo. And we want to thank our viewers and our subscribers for taking time to watch our previous presentations. We really appreciate it very much because it takes some time for you to devote your time to watch some of these programs. Now, in this program, which is the fourth of our presentation, we're going to be very brief. It is just an introduction to a very important subject that we will be discussing for a very long time. In our previous presentations, we dealt with ideas behind the name Africa, signs on the wall for Africans and their leaders, and also we laid the foundation for the meaning of hindsight for this presentation. We defined hindsight as the understanding of a situation or an event after it had happened. And in today's presentation, which is going to be an introduction, we're going to consider a hindsight of a combined factor. We're going to have an understanding of a combined factor in history that affected Africa in a great dimension. And I call it scriptural philosophical factor. Scriptural philosophical factor. Let me define factor before. A factor is something or anything that contributes to a result or an outcome. So when I say scriptural philosophical factor, it is something, it is the use of the scripture and philosophy that contributed or resulted in the destruction of African civilization, the halting of African progress, and also undermining African development. Three things that we need to take note of. This scriptural philosophical factor is something that contributed to an outcome, or it contributed to a result. And the result is the destruction of African civilization, halting of African progress, and also undermining African development. And so we're going to look at this. And as I said, this is going to be an intro. It's just going to be an introduction. And we will focus briefly on the scriptural aspect of the factor. And the scriptural aspect of the factor has to do with how Europe misused scripture to undermine Africa or to target Africa and Africans, to halt its progress, to destroy its civilization, and to undermine further development. And this is the scripture Europeans used. It's from Genesis chapter 9, verse 18 to 27. Genesis chapter 9, verse 18 to 27. Now, in this scripture, we will note that it's about Noah and his 3 sons. Noah's 3 sons were Shem, Japheth, and Ham. Now, Shem was the eldest, followed by Japheth, and Ham was the youngest. So Genesis chapter 9, verse 18 to 27 is a record of Noah's pronouncements. And his pronouncements constitute cursing, blessing, and enlargement, and the reasons why he made or uttered this pronouncement. Unfortunately, we find that Noah passed a curse on Canaan, his grandson, who was the son of Ham. So on Canaan, Noah pronounced that he will be the servant of servants to his brethren. That means he will be a servant of servants to his cousins. That is the children of Shem and Japheth. And that was a very negative pronouncement that Noah made on his grandson. Note that it wasn't made on his son, Ham. However, he also pronounced that Canaan was going to be the servant of the Lord, the God of Shem. And that was positive. And I believe that people who are religious and people who seek to do something with their life will love this kind of pronouncement, that he was going to be the servant of the Lord, the God of Shem. The end of the pronouncement was, however, very negative on Canaan. He was going to be the servant of Japheth also. So Canaan was caught up in a curse that was to destroy his life. But a very critical look at the structure of the pronouncement of curse by Noah in Genesis chapter 9, verse 26, the first part. Noah pronounced blessing on the Lord, the God of Shem, and not on Shem as a person. Over Japheth, Noah pronounced enlargement. But the irony of it was that he, Japheth, was going to dwell in the tent or in the dwelling place of Shem. Now, the biggest deal in the pronouncement is the cursing of Canaan, his grandson. The curse was to overwhelm him and to damage his life. Now, this is where we come to the crux of the matter. Europeans claim that Africa and Africans are the ones referred to in this scripture about Ham or Canaan. And that is the bone of contention here. And that is what they used to affect the continent and its people. Europe misused this scripture to target Africa and Africans, as I've said, to destroy the ancient civilization of Africa, to halt the progress that Africa was making, and to undermine the development of Africa. And this is the introduction to what we are going to study or to be listening to in our subsequent presentations about the scriptural, philosophical factor that undermined Africa and Africans. the scriptural philosophical factor that destroyed, that halted, and that undermined. And I believe that as we do this in series, bit by bit, without bringing so much information, we will be able to absorb it little by little so we can understand it. And that's why we call this an introduction. And I believe that this introduction will prepare you for the greater information ahead of us. Now, we at Insights with Dr. Val-Addo appreciate your time, and we believe that you have been prepared for greater information to come. And if you would like to continue receiving our presentation, our subsequent presentations, we want you to press the subscribed button. And also, if it has been a blessing to you, press the thumb up sign and share and send it to friends and relatives and invite them to watch this and also prepare themselves for the information that we have ahead of us. In addition, if you have any comment, we would love you to write the comment and send it on to us. God bless.